the vault. High atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talking Catholic. This is Marianela Nunez, and with me today is Mike Bress. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good. How are you, Marianela?
Good. We're missing our other Mike, who is not available to do our podcast today, and so we're kind of like by ourselves today. We can do what we want, right?
I think so. The house stars. It's a shame we're not live in the studio playing with the equipment, but because for the listeners, we are on Zoom today. And actually, Marianela and I aren't even in the same room. So Marianela's traveling today, but it is sort of the kids will play, I guess, while the leader is away. So excited to do the podcast with you as always, Marianela.
Yeah, me as well. Are you so sad at this time of the year where the Phillies are now gone?
I was definitely depressed for a little bit. I think I've come back around. Luckily, I am a fan of many sports. So it's now officially, I guess, football season for me, where I can focus on that. But yes, the Phillies, it was a tough loss. I was happy they were there. And I'm looking forward to them going back, hopefully next year. So we'll keep the ride rolling here.
Yeah, it was incredible they got that far. So, I had not seen our office so excited for, baseball team in years. So this was a good thing.
It was. Yeah, we really did. The morning discussions on how the game the night before went, who went to the game and what they experienced. It was a lot of fun to live that excitement.
I know Mike Walsh really got to enjoy the season with like going to the stadium and enjoying, live games.
Yeah, he did. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was at one of the pivotal games where Harper hit, Bryce Harper hit one of the home runs that kind of sent them, the stadium in absolute excitement and chaos. I think since it's an educational podcast, I think this time around, I'll point out a fun little educational fact that it got so loud in the stadium for one of the games that it actually showed up on a seismograph at Penn State Abington because it was so loud that the stadium quite literally shook enough to register. So I think that's how excited people in Philadelphia were for the Phillies to be back in the playoffs and into the World Series. So it was exciting stuff.
That's great. And, we're not here to talk baseball because, this is your Catholic school related podcast today. And we have 4 very special guests today that are going to be talking Catholic schools, Discover Catholic Schools Week, and much more. And with that, I'm just going to start introducing and going around our Zoom squares here. With us, we have Mrs. Heather Crisci, who is the principal at Camden Catholic High School. Welcome, Heather.
Hi, Marianela. Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Good to see you here. We also have the president of Camden Catholic, Mary Whipkey, with us. I think is this your first time, Mary, with us?
It is, yes. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Yes, welcome.
I'm excited.
To our podcast.
Yes.
We're happy to have you. We also have 2 very special guests from our elementary school world. With us today is the principal of St. Margaret School, Sister Michele DeGregorio. How are you, sister?
Doing well. How are you, Marianela?
Good. Are you happy to be here talking for like an hour with us?
I am.
We know you can talk and you can be funny, so that's why we're having you.
Good.
All right. We also have Laureen Brady, who is the advancement director at St. Margaret School and kind of like doing some combos here. How are you, Laureen?
Hi, Marianela. How are you? I'm doing well, thanks.
Good. It's exciting times in our Catholic schools, always busy, always fun, doing a lot of things every day. I think in our schools, not one day looks like the other one. And I think you can all attest to that, right?
Yeah. So, you're never bored.
Never bored. So for those people who are looking for jobs there, we have a lot of openings going on around the diocese. So check us out because so much fun to work at a Catholic school. So we wanted to discuss today, Discover Catholic Schools Week is almost, around the corner. And we want to talk to you about what that is, what you guys are planning for this year, and how you typically celebrate that time of the year for our schools. So we're going to start with Sister Michele to break the ice here. What is Discover Catholic Schools Week for our listeners that may not know?
Right. So Discovering Catholic Schools Week is an opportunity for those who don't typically follow Catholic schools, or maybe are thinking about an alternative to public school. Maybe parents who themselves went to Catholic school and now have kids coming of age, ready to enter into school, to just kind of take a look and see what's out there, and, look at the many different Catholic schools that we have around the area. Each one has a personality, if you want to say that, a kind of a style, perhaps. Like St. Margaret's, we like to say, it's Catholic education in the Franciscan tradition. And, so it's an opportunity for them to, look around, see what's out there, and, maybe even, take an opportunity to get a tour, look at the websites, things like that, so that they can make an informed decision and hopefully choose a Catholic school in their area.
That's a great answer. I think, it's also like people might be more familiar with what it is, Catholic Schools Week in January. Sometimes it's very cold in cold places like New Jersey. Sometimes it's snowing, and it's kind of like we wanted to provide a different season to give parents the opportunity to discover our Catholic schools, and also to start, relationships amongst our people in our communities, because we open up our doors with events and things that we do around South Jersey to make sure that people have the opportunity to come in and see what we are about in our Catholic schools.
Yeah, and I think it gives, it's a little early in the year, which is good, because if they're looking to maybe make a change, we want to have a realistic number, let's say, in terms of our enrollment. We want to know, what we've got, seats open, et cetera, so they have an opportunity early on to get a taste of that. And sometimes we've had families who, in fact, discover a Catholic school during this time of year. And then if we're able to, and they commit to us, we invite them to other events that we have throughout the rest of the year. Like sometimes we'll have special events during Catholic Schools Week, which is an opportunity to celebrate Catholic school, not just discover, but celebrate them. And we'll invite, potential, students and their families to come to some of those events, just to kind of see what's happening and how we live out what we've talked about. And so, it's a great opportunity. Yeah.
It's also early in the year enough that if families are truly considering your school, you have an opportunity to then invite them to come and shadow with you for the day, which is really nice. It really gives those kids an opportunity to be immersed in that environment, in that class with the kids that they would move up with for the next school year. And it gives them an opportunity to meet the teachers, to meet Sister Michele, to meet Mrs. Zuccarelli, our vice principal, and get a sense for what that feeling of community is like here at St. Margaret's, or any of the other Catholic schools that are within the diocese as well. So that shadow day is really a fabulous opportunity to take advantage of if families are interested and able to do that.
That's good. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry to interrupt. I think the interesting thing too that I have found in working with the schools and helping on the marketing side of it is that the National Catholic Education Association, the NCEA, that sort of helped springboard this nationally, has put together a lot of like thematic days of who to discover in different audiences. And I think that's also gives our schools an opportunity to branch out into the community, right, and discover those different audiences. So it's rediscovering your parish families and who may not be attending the school, talking to alumni again, highlighting your teachers and those different audiences. So it's really an opportunity, as you said, early in the year to kind of, we've gotten past back to school. We're in the middle of a couple of our fun holidays. So let's throw in a fun week where we can, highlight ourselves when people are watching. So I think it's it's an excellent opportunity to do that.
That's really what it is about. But I want to know from the high school perspective, like Heather and Mary, how do you live Discover Catholic Schools Week? And you've been around long enough to see it emerge for the first time, and now see that it's becoming a tradition. Tell me a little bit more about your high school experience with Discover Catholic Schools Week.
I think Discovering Catholic Schools Week is really about, it's a little bit of storytelling for us too, and a lot of getting all of the good news about what we do every day in our schools out to the greater community who are doing that and just discovering our school. We end up at the high school level even planning different events for the week that are a part of our regular community and regular days, but our students are out performing service opportunities during the Discovering Catholic Schools Week, much like they do all year. They also are out and they are involved in the community. We have a very large Thanksgiving meal collection during Discovering Catholic Schools Week, so that we're supporting families who are in need. When we talk about our faculty, we talk about stories that our faculty are doing, things that they're doing, and also really celebrating the relationships that they build with the students. Because after 4 years in high school, we find that students build incredible relationships with their teachers, and they take that with them once they graduate. And for us, talking about alumni, donors, and those people who support our school, that is another just piece of our community. And I think it's important for people to see that and know how involved our alumni are and how supportive they are of our Catholic schools, because that says a lot for what we do every day.
If I can add, I think one of the things that's always struck me about Catholic Schools Weeks is the students generally reflect in some kind of an essay in an English class about what Catholic school means to them. And the answers that are received are just amazing to me, how much Catholic schools have impacted them as a person. And they realize that as a junior and senior. And I think that to me is just such a great story for them to say. It's not, their parents deciding they're going there, or they're, we're all celebrating the Catholic schools, but they personally took time to reflect and to say how much it means to them to be a part of the Catholic school, how caring they love. They love the caring part of the teachers. They love the fact that everyone is accepted, and it just becomes just a really an aha moment for me that the student is actually reflecting back on that.
That's really I think providing that opportunity twice a year, it's really neat for the administration to see how our Catholic schools are valued by, everybody who is part of the community. Parents, current parents also have the chance to really talk up their Catholic schools and say why, they made the decision to make the sacrifice to put, their children in our Catholic schools, and why this is such an investment that, as we call it in South Jersey Catholic schools, it's the gift of a lifetime. It's something that, nobody can take away from their children. Material gift, lasts some years. And if you take care of it well, it might last longer. But this, is something that is engraved in their lives, is part of their souls. And, that's what we, really strive to be good at every day, to make sure that we nurture every aspect of our children's lives. And we try to take care of their souls as much as we try to take care of their minds. And that's so important. So what are we doing? I think, it'll be interesting to share with our audience. What are we doing this year specifically that has you excited? Like what's, one thing that you're like, oh, I can't wait to celebrate Discover Catholic Schools Week to do this. What is it happening? Can we start with elementary?
Elementary. Well, I mean, we're having an open house tonight, actually.
Oh my goodness! Yes,
kind of in preparation. Yeah,
Rediscover Catholic Schools Week.
Yeah, right.
Can you say when it's starting?
Scheduling conflicts for next week, but yeah. So we've already received lots of inquiries about our open house. So we're really excited about that. Our teachers will be here on staff this evening to be able to showcase their rooms, showcase some of their curriculum pieces that they will be using. I think one of the really fun things when you walk through our building, and probably any of the other Catholic schools as well, is that especially during Discover Catholic Schools Week and Catholic Schools Week, you see the excitement about not only the academic, but the spirituality come out in what they put in their bulletin boards in the hallways. Our hallways are usually covered with beautiful artwork, with wonderful writing pieces. And as to kind of dovetail off of what Mary Whipkey was saying, is that our students likewise, age appropriately, of course, reflect upon what it means to be here in our Catholic community at St. Margaret's. What are their favorite stories? What are the favorite things that they look forward to each morning when they come here? And I think that's one of the special things that we enjoy looking at, even as faculty, as we're walking through the building, is seeing that excitement flow through their work here that's posted in the hallways.
Yeah, I mean, given the time of year that it is too, we have a lot of kids, a lot of the classes have done things about the saints, for example. So there's a lot of writing that, hanging in the hallway where they talk about, a favorite saint, or, they've heard about this saint and they've done some, even second grade, for example, did a little research, and which is kind of interesting the way they perceive that, and, just be able to write about those saints and have those heroes to look up to, and like be able to share that, with their fellow students who stop and read them on their way to the lavatory and, wandering down the hall, just reading, or people that are coming for tour or whatever it is, and just being able to witness that and see not just their academic work, but, again, some of the spiritual pieces that are such an integral part of what we do as a Catholic school. So
that's great. Yeah. And at the high school level, like Heather, what would be something that you're looking forward to during this Discover Catholic Schools Week this year?
Well, one thing that's brand new that we're having an alumni open house tonight. And we're actually super excited about this because we have alumni coming back to our building this evening, really to hear a little bit about all of the things that we are doing here at Camden Catholic. And the really great part about this is because Camden Catholic has so many really, really dedicated alumni who are dedicated to the school with very fond memories, they're going to be able to come back and celebrate the traditions that were important to them and see that they're still here, but also see all of the things that we've done in terms of academic innovation, upgrades to the school building, programs for students, and to see how our Catholic school has grown. And I think that is going to be really exciting for them when they come back.
That's great. I have a question that goes directly regarding the topic that we are having today. And it's, what is it to discover, in our Catholic schools? And you just mentioned a couple of things, Heather, but, if you're talking to a family that knows nothing about Catholic education and they have had no experience at all with our system, what is it to discover in our Catholic schools? Anybody can jump into this one.
I think one of the things that people discover when they come to our school is our community. And for a lot of people, being a part of a community that is faith-based, close-knit, one where people and students find their place and they feel like they belong. I think that's really important for families to see when they come to a Catholic school.
Great.
How about for St. Margaret's? What do you think, sort of encapsulates that word discover? What are they going to discover from St. Margaret's?
One of the things that I talk about when I meet with new families is the spiritual identity of the school and how that not only gives them an experience in the Catholic faith, but it also develops a whole nother side of them. And it helps them to be able to navigate the challenges of growing up because kids did not come into this world with a handbook of, if this happens, then I should do this. It's all trial and error. So how do we look back on the teachings in our religious education with our anti-bullying program here, Olveus program, and how do those two pieces come together to help them to develop into a person of good, strong Christian character, somebody who's able to navigate the challenges that are out there in all the different aspects of our society right now, somebody who can discern good choices from bad choices and kind of work through those pieces, somebody who has the strength to be able to stand up for what is good and right and just. So we really try to help with those pieces as well, not just the academic side of it, not just learning about the Catholic faith, but developing that character in students is so important in this day and age right now that that is one of the things that I do hear from parents there. They are interested in that, and they really like to hear about that aspect of it as well. And that's something maybe they did not expect to hear coming in. So that's a good story piece as well.
That's great. And that's kind of like what we are about, developing the whole character and making sure that we, provide the support that the kids need to grow that way. But, one very important aspect of why people pick our Catholic schools is our academics. And we really don't compare to, public schools, or because, we don't provide the same testing, SATs, yes, so the high schools might be able to talk more about that. But, for a parent that, is trying to understand how good we are in terms of academics, can you talk a little bit more about our academics in our Catholic schools, and maybe starting with Mary at the high school level and Heather?
I think I'll talk a little bit about it, but Heather really deals with all the academics. I think we offer a lot to a lot of students. So we try to meet the student where they come in, and we try to push them to the next level. So in other words, if they're coming in as just a college prep student, we're trying to push them into taking an honors class. We try and get different disabilities that students have to try and help them with overcoming any kind of learning disabilities. Heather might want to talk a little bit more about that. Heather, you want to take that?
I think the important thing with a Catholic school is that because our community is smaller than some of our public schools, we have the opportunity to offer a more individualized approach to education. A time where a student is not going to feel lost, a time where we're going to be able to challenge students who are seeking that challenge, and a time where we're going to be able to support students who may need more academic support. One of the things at the high school level that we're able to do is also really focus in and hone in on student interests and to encourage them with some of their individual projects. We have, at our school, we have every senior completes a senior research project before graduation. So these projects are individual research projects completed independently by the students. We've had students work with teachers on STEM mentoring projects where they've actually a problem has been placed before them, and they've worked throughout the year to come up with a solution to the problem. We've had students who've worked independently with faculty on in the arts, performing arts, on performance pieces and music, and really seeking some of that advanced work in order to continue to expand their own academic knowledge. The other thing that we're doing at the high school level is really preparing them for that next step. So, for most of our students, that's college. We're setting them up for college. We know that we're educating students for careers that don't exist today. So we know that we have to be providing problem-solving skills. We have to provide them skills with collaboration, communication skills, and those things are embedded into what we do every day, because our goal is to see that our students are set up for success after graduation. And for each student, that might look a little different, and that's okay, because for us, not every student is going to fit into the same mold. And we know that we have to adjust for that because that's our school and that's what we do.
And these are such great points. And I think you both our elementary school guests and high school just brought something up interesting, kind of sort of separately, that I had a question about, which is, and I think I'll start with Heather and Mary, mentioning that, talking about, Laureen made this great point about developing the full, the whole child and making, the right Christian decisions and preparing them. And really they're preparing them for high school, in a way to be prepared for that next step. And you just mentioned your further step into college. So what do you do for students that are coming from 8th grade that have gotten that background, but are now in a new chapter in their life and are going to be experiencing very different things than they did in the elementary school level?
Yeah. So for us, and we see that as a really important part of freshman year. So we have an articulated freshman transition program for students. And that's important to us because out of our freshman class, depending on the year, we could see over 60 different grade schools coming into a grade. And we know that every student has had a slightly different experience in their 8th grade. So we do a few things. First, we set up, because we are a community, we want people to feel like they are part of this community and they belong. So the first thing that we do here is we have a special, actually 2 days of freshman orientation. And Camden Catholic has worked with a national program called Link Crew for more than 14 years. And this is a time when our freshmen are assigned junior or senior mentors. They spend the day with these students, getting to know them, lots of activities that all have a learning message behind them. And these students serve as mentors for our freshmen, usually through February or March. Lots of informal follow-ups. Are you going to the homecoming dance? Are you going to the football game? We're going to have lunch together. There's a basketball game. And then we also follow up with our freshmen with more of a formal program during the school year that's embedded into our classes. And so we're going to be talking to them about some of our guidance programs. What do we do during 4 years in the guidance office? What do we do for our students during Spirit Week? What do we do and how should you be checking your grades? How do you get extra help if you need to get that extra help? So we really ensure that they know how they're going to be part of that community. And then combined with that, starting right away in freshman year, they gather together as a group for a freshman retreat. They talk about what it means to be part of a faith-based community. We talk about our service, we talk about prayer, we celebrate the liturgy together, and really having our freshmen starting during that transition to understand what it means to be a Camden Catholic student is important for our community, but it's also important for them so that they know that they are a part of something bigger and that they're proud of that. And that's something that we find, and I think Mary would agree with me, we find with a lot of our alumni come back, they are so proud to be alums of Camden Catholic. And they talk about that. They are excited to meet up with other alumni. And it's just a really big part of their identity because of the experience that they had during their 4 years of high school.
That's great. I love the way you describe, how you integrate those new students as they come into, the Catholic education system in our schools. And, for the parents that might be worried about the fact that, they're bringing in their students and they don't know, if they're going to, how they're going to be onboarded into the system, we have things in place in our schools to make sure that they feel welcome, loved, and, belonging. And I think Sister Michele and Laureen might also be able to chime in this and how, being the biggest school in the diocese, you have students coming in every year. We have open enrollment. And so you deal with a lot of onboarding of new students every year. How do you guys do it? How do you approach it at the elementary school level?
Well, one of the things that we have done now for several years, we have a full-time counselor, thank God. And she's really, really active in helping our new students. I mean, they, again, as Laureen mentioned earlier, they can come in for a shadow day. And sometimes when they do that, they're able to make friends with somebody in the class and maybe even get together, before the new school year starts. And so that's one way to do it. But our counselor runs what she calls the New Saints Club. And, we're St. Margaret Saints. That's our team mascot. So she checks in on them. She gathers them together as a group. She makes sure that they have a, I don't know if I would call it a mentor, but maybe a buddy, a partner, somebody who's going to be, helping them out and welcoming them and making sure that they're, with somebody for lunch or recess. And then we also have parent ambassadors that help the parents on that too, so we're trying to reach out and, as Heather kind of mentioned, trying to help create that community and keep people connected. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that we do that. I usually in the beginning of the year, I try to go around. If I haven't met these students already when they came in, I try to go around and say hello and everything. And I'm always amazed because little ones do this maybe more than high schoolers, and that, they'll see me standing outside or they'll see me in the hallway and they, they're running up and, hugging me and everything. And, which is great. And I want them to feel like they can do that. We don't live in that world where, sister principal, she's carrying a ruler around and, God forbid you should touch them, or something like that. That's not where we are anymore. And so, I think it speaks to how kids, feel, when they come to our school. And we had a new little girl this year, and I was outside when mom was dropping her off on the first day of school, and mom was worried, and the little girl ran right up to me and hugged me and said hello, and I'm like, oh, what's your name? And mom said, what? From that moment, I felt like everything was going to be great. And that's what we want our kids to feel like, so, just to be able to check in on them and make sure that they're adjusting and all of that, I think is so important. And again, they learn best when they feel safe and secure and loved. And that's what we want them to feel.
And for our parents, we, as Sister mentioned a little bit earlier, once we have events that we invite prospective families to, but once they have enrolled in our school, we invite them to our year-end beach bash. Yeah. And that's a lot of fun. And they get to start to meet up with kids that will be in the same class with them, parents that are going to be in the same class with them. Over the summer, we have a new family meet and greet where the parents bring the kids in and we gather in the gymnasium and we have some coloring activities and some snacks. And the parents, again, have an opportunity to meet one another. Father Joe, Sister Michele, Mrs. Zuccarelli, and I all address them. And then our parent ambassadors are just, they're wonderful. And they actually provide their emails to our new families and say, please do reach out to me. I can, help with the parent perspective, and I can help with a, simple question about lunch or, whatever the case may be. So there's that open line of communication between our parent ambassadors and our new families, which is just beautiful. And it just makes that transition so much easier, so much smoother. And the families just feel very at ease.
That's great. And the common denominator here, between all of us, as we're talking about our Catholic schools, it's we are a community and we try to build community. So when we have all of these events, for those parents who are listening or for those who are thinking about Catholic schools, they're not just events for the sake of having events. We try to create community. We try to make you feel as you belong. And, the only way to do that is bringing people together. We took a hit during COVID times and we're suffering so much for being able to provide that kind of support and that kind of welcoming. We tried our best with our Zoom calls and, activities that we could do outdoors, all that kind of stuff. But right now we're back in full swing and it feels like, the world is, being back to pre-COVID times, praying to God that this new flu season and all that's going on health-wise right now goes away and it's not a significant impact. But, we're very happy this year to be able to see more and more of these activities. As we're thinking about, advancing our mission and not only, being available, but thriving in the years to come. We have some very important people across our schools that, are in charge of development. And I wanted to hear from Mary as to, we have a lot of people who support our schools, and we're very thankful for their donations and for their support. And I wanted to hear from you because you have been around, for a long time and working with those donors, and you have heard their stories of why they support our Catholic schools. Why do your donors say they support you? Why, some people really, make substantial donations to Catholic education and your school in particular?
Yeah, I can talk about two different kinds of donors. I have donors who are not graduates of Camden Catholic, and they're friends of Camden Catholic, some not even a Catholic school graduate, but they give to Camden Catholic and some other Catholic schools because they believe in Catholic education and what it is doing for our children today. And they like what they see as far as academic rigor. They like the moral development. And so they give to us. We've developed relationships with the folks like that, who just believe in Catholic education, even though they, have not even been a part of it or are a different religion. So that to me is amazing in itself. Then I have a whole group of alums who their stories are amazing. They want to give back because they feel that they were so well prepared for life. They feel like it gave them the boost to be able to make it and be successful in life, no matter what success means. And they just have this, a lot of the older alums in like the 50s adored Sister Mary. And they said that Sister Mary whipped them into shape, and they want to give back because they feel so genuine about what they've been given. And it's getting that appreciation while the students are here to appreciate what their Catholic school means to them. And that's why Catholic Schools Week is so important in those reflections, because then we make sure that students know the connections to alums, that this is what the donor, when you're an alum, someday you need to give back. You need to help future students who want to come to Camden Catholic. So we try and create that culture of giving while they're here. And so that when they leave here, they then reflect even more. And they're like, yeah, I can give that $5 at Irish Giving Day. So I think people just leave here with such a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride and a sense of appreciation for what the teachers have given them. And in turn, that makes them realize that they need to give back for future students.
That's great. And I think one of the things that I would like you to also touch on is, people think, well, Catholic schools are expensive, like we pay tuition. Why do they need donations? If you were going to educate our listeners into why is it important that we continue to advance our mission by, asking for donations and developing those relationships, why would you say so?
So I think everybody that's listening has to know that what the tuition that we charge is not what covers the cost of our education, educating each student. The public schools, have tax dollars, so they have a certain amount that they charge or qualify for how much it's going to cost to educate. All Catholic schools really have to, really be careful of their budgets and what it costs and how much tuition is, how much we pay healthcare, how much we pay teachers, and all of that gets in consideration. And we understand the dilemma of parents sending their students to Catholic school because of the cost. So we want them to be able to afford it. So we're I think every Catholic school in South Jersey is very mindful of what they charge. But the reality is whatever any Catholic school charges, it is not what it actually costs to educate. So we need to look to donors. We need to look to people who could step up and pay a little bit more maybe for tuition. We need to be able to fill that difference in cost of education and what we actually charge. So I think that's an important, everybody has to understand who's coming into Catholic school, that it's part of what you do when you come here. And it's a sacrifice, and you have to be able to make that sacrifice to send your student here because of what you're getting in the end.
And isn't there a sense of impact that the donor can have on the school, not just, talking about from a tuition standpoint, but I know, specifically with Camden Catholic, the innovation piece that Heather mentioned, that you're bettering the school and you're creating improvements that the donor can be attached to and say, I helped bring about that next step for Catholic education and for this particular school, whether you're an alumni or not. I think there's the great feeling of I helped, and that community. Again, we're going back to that word community, right? And I think that's just so important for people to remember that when don't just think about it as I'm just adding dollars, so someone can go to the school. I think that's very valid, but it's also what you potentially are doing for the future. It's a legacy, that you're helping to develop. And so I think all of the guests here on the podcast today have those innovations, and have had success in that world. But I think it's good to remind the listeners that it's don't just think about the dollars you're giving, but the impact you're going to have long after we're all gone, or long after, you feel that the impact's there. It's going to be there for a long time.
Exactly. And, when we're thinking about discovering, our schools and what's there to discover, I also want to, talk about our teachers, who are our teachers, and, how do they also play such an important part of our system, and how they support us with, being part of it. Maybe Sister Michele can talk a little bit about who do you have teaching, and, how do they make Catholic education possible for our families?
Right. So, it's funny because I think some time ago, there was this idea that Catholic school teachers were not qualified in the same way that public school teachers were. And maybe a long time ago, that might have been part of the truth. But the reality is our teachers are very qualified. They're degreed, in some cases they have, certification and, whatever. So they are qualified, very well qualified, and they bring academic rigor and so forth, and a lot of compassion, because again, we have students of a variety of different, abilities and so forth. And being able to reach all of those kids, takes a lot of planning and a lot of thought to do that. But, they bring with them not only that desire to, help children grow academically or whatever, but again, that Catholic piece of, helping kids to grow spiritually. So what is it? How does that teacher model the behavior they want to see, and, how they treat one another? How they deal with, maybe somebody who's bothering them, there's a lot of living out in the reality of life, just in the classroom, so how a teacher addresses a child, and, it like I said, is a good way to model the behavior you want to see in your kids. And so we have teachers who are, very conscious of those things. And again, while they're really trying to meet children where they are academically, they're also trying to instill in them, a framework of how to live as a good Catholic Christian person, and so I think our teachers realize too that they're part of a mission. It's and I mean, I know a lot of people that are teachers even in the public school system, and I would say that most people that are teachers have a sense of being a teacher is not just a job, it's a vocation. But I think in the Catholic school, even more so, because it's a mission. It's a part of the mission of the church to educate the young for life, for the reality of life in the framework of gospel value. And, and I think our teachers really try to make that happen on a daily basis, whether that's, leading them in prayer before, different subjects are taught, or, grace before meals, or saying the rosary. I mean, I have several teachers that, to calm kids down and let them relax, they'll say a decade of the rosary when they come in from recess or whatever, and like sharing that spiritual, kind of tradition, with their students. And it's amazing how kids respond to that. I think sometimes, like, I'm very conscious of, when I encounter a child in the hallway, I want that child to know how I feel about them. And I know the teachers are the same way. And so I smile at them. I say good morning. I say hello. So maybe the little ones are hugging me or whatever. And I see, even the older kids, the middle schoolers, when I could just stand in the hallway and they'll say to me, have a nice day, sister, whatever, because that's how I treat them. And they feel that comfortableness to answer me back. So I know that's also happening in the classroom with our teachers. And so again, I think that's, really kudos to our teachers who are dealing with that on the front line, so to speak, on a daily basis.
I think too, I want to point out specifically, because we did a great video last year with St. Margaret's I think it was actually for Celebrate Catholic Schools Week, but we interviewed I want to say 7th grade science teacher. And if she's not the definition of enthusiasm, I don't know
absolutely
what is. And I think that comes off for the kids too, right? If you're excited about the subject that you are teaching, about the vocation that you have, the kids are going to see that and it's going to resonate with them. And I just had this sense, she pulled us out in the hallway to show the experiment they were working on, and you couldn't not, you had, the enthusiasm was infectious. So yes. I think that's another piece of it, is that Catholic school teachers especially are and I think teachers in general, but I will say specifically Catholic school teachers have an enthusiasm for their work because of that vocation, and that they show that to the kids, so that the kids really see they want to be here. They want you as a student to be with them and take that journey together. It's just, it's an amazing thing for them.
If I could add something to that, we have 6 alumni, faculty members here that are alumni themselves.
That's great.
So we're very excited. We're very blessed by that. But one thing that I know that they are sharing with their students is, I was sitting where you are sitting. Mm-hmm. I've walked these halls. I've worn these uniforms. And the fact that they are back here now as our staff and faculty, and they've brought their children here to be a member of this community and have been educated through our program from preschool 3 through 8th grade is very special. And for our students to know that their teacher standing in front of them was once very similar to them makes it a very special experience as well.
I think that comes on the high school level too, doesn't it, Heather? That there's a lot of teachers that want to have been there, that are there long, right, and have kids of students that they had, right? And there's and the parents can remember that, right? That's a treat too, I think.
So, as I was listening to this, and this is such a great question, because Mary and I talk about this all the time and especially when we're with our faculty. We talk about all of the great things that we do at Camden Catholic High School, and we do wonderful things here. And these things are happening because of our teachers. And our teachers are incredibly dedicated to what they do. And I can't echo that sentiment enough about it is a vocation to work in a Catholic school.
Yes.
This becomes our life. It is more than just a job for us. We all say that our community is the thing that drives us. It is why we're here. When we talk to the kids, they'll say the community is their most favorite thing about the school. Their second favorite thing is their relationships with their teachers. And really the two are combined. Our teachers are incredible. They are, when we look at their own education, we're talking about master's degrees. We're talking about people who have taught at colleges, who continue their own personal education and professional development. We're talking about teachers who are excited about their subjects, much like Mike was describing. I have had more conversations about individual topics within different disciplines, especially in the past 5 years as teachers are embarking on new academic programs and they're looking to incorporate new things in their classes. We also have a pretty large group of alumni teachers. And we have, with the alumni and also our current staff, an incredibly large group of parents or past parents of Camden Catholic alums in our building. So we, we walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah.
We believe in what we do here. And I would say that our teachers are 100% in, and they are why we are who we are.
That was beautifully said, Heather. And I want to take these few last minutes of our podcast here to thank Mary Whipkey for her service to, our Catholic schools, especially specifically to Camden Catholic. She came in as an interim, and I don't think she thought she was going to last as long as she's lasted at Camden Catholic. She came in for a little bit, and now, it's been years. So I just wanted to thank you for your service to Camden Catholic and the school community, and also to our diocese. You have been a wonderful worker, and you have done a lot for Camden Catholic and the school community. And I just wanted you to leave us with why did you stay?
So it's hard for me to leave. So I stayed because I love the place so much, and I'm a big flag raiser for Catholic education, and I feel like I've been so blessed to work with all these wonderful faculty, with our administrators. It's just such a wonderful community to work in, and it keeps you here, and it's hard to leave. And that's why I think anyone who's listening and thinking about Catholic education, you really should check it out, because it is such we always say, once we get them in the building, they're stay in the building, and you don't come here for 4 years, you come for life. And I'm sure that's the way with every Catholic school. And it's because of the genuineness of people, the hard work that people put in, the spirituality, and all of those things just keep you here. And it's very difficult to leave. So I am a big proponent of Catholic education, and because of all those reasons. So,
and we should clarify just real quick that you are retiring at the end of the school year.
Yeah.
That it was just announced.
Yes,
and that's why we are officially saying goodbye.
Yes.
Marianela was very excited to hear those words, and we wanted to make sure that you had a second to talk about that. And I just wanted to make sure our listeners know the perspective that we're putting that out there for you to do, and echoing again Marianela's words of thanks, right, and the impact that you've had.
Yes.
Even in my short time here with the diocese, but I think for all of us, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 18 years when I started, and there just comes a time in your life. Everybody says when you know, and I think there comes a time in your life when you want some time to do some things for your own, so while you're still healthy, and that's the decision that my husband and I came to. So it's going to be really hard for me to leave, because it is just such a wonderful environment. And as St. Margaret's is, I'm sure every Catholic school is just, it's just a home. Everybody calls it their second home. And that's what I call this place too. So,
yeah. So as you guys heard here, our listeners, there is a lot to discover in our Catholic schools around South Jersey. These two schools that we're representing here are kind of like just, like you get some of the same feelings. There's like, each school has their own personality, but the main thing in our Catholic schools is that we educate the whole person with Christ as the center of our lives, as the center of our schools and our classrooms. We educate ourselves in our faith and our teachers as well, and try to nurture what they do in and out to make sure that, Christ is the center of everything we do. And I think Christ symbolizes perfection, and we are not perfect by any means, but we strive to be, because we know Christ is, and we follow his example. So thank you so much to everybody who's here. Thank you, Sister Michele and Laureen and Heather and Mary, for everything you do for our Catholic schools. To our listeners and Mike, it's been wonderful to spend this time with you today in our podcast. We are, thankful for our listeners to, make sure that you listen to what we say and discover our Catholic schools every day. Please remember to call South Jersey Catholic Schools at 856-583-6103. If you have any inquiries, you can go into our website. Mike, can you
I was just going to give my shameless plug after that beautiful, beautiful thing that you just said, and I have to do the marketing plug, but I'm going to do it because that's my job. You definitely check out our social media pages. We're at South Jersey Catholic Schools on Facebook and Instagram. Our website is southjerseycatholicschools.org. We're going to have a ton of information, photos, everything that's experienced over this next week with Discover Catholic Schools Week and beyond. So please consider us. We believe your children belong in South Jersey Catholic Schools. It is truly a gift of a lifetime. So we want you here, and we want you a part of this great experience we got a chance to talk about today.
Yes, and all of our schools are listed in our website. So if you want information about these two wonderful schools we just talked about today, you're going to find them there as well. So thank you very much for listening, and see you in the next podcast.